Shalom, Kal Halal, Yahweh Bashemi Ovashai, Bahashim Hakal Kodash, double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of GMS, including the elders that came before them that taught us this truth. Shalom and salutations to all the brothers that push the word of truth and in sincerity, the hopeful elect, tabernacle of David, to the Aquath that are listening and learning, being a pillar of rest, the 144,001 the hopeful elect of Israel, and the brother Yahshua, back with the World War III Daily Update. Shalom and salutations to you all. We're going to start right here, Jeremiah 49 and 20, about the small hatters, small mad hatters. Therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord that he hath taken against Edom, all Idumea, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock, Amalek, shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. Okay, so I read that because this guy then came from the Holy Land, if you will, to do what? Right? Well, to draw them out. 1 hour ago, Democracy Now!, Amy Goodman, terrible mistake. Leading Israelis say Netanyahu's invite to address Congress rewards bad behavior. So let's let Amy give her synopsis of what's going on. We're not going to listen to the whole thing, but just, get a little perspective on what the hell is going on today. This is, right, the Valley of Jehoshaphat, where this battle comes to an end, right? He's representing that, so take it away, Amy.
In Washington, D.C., thousands of protesters are planning to march on Capitol Hill today as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addresses a joint session of Congress as the death toll from Israel's war on Gaza tops 39,100 and expected to be much higher. On Tuesday, 400 Jewish activists, including over a dozen rabbis, were arrested during a sit-in inside the Capitol to protest Netanyahu's visit and to demand an immediate U.S. weapons embargo on the Israeli government. Dozens of Democratic lawmakers are boycotting Netanyahu's speech, including Senators Dick Durbin, who is the majority whip, Chris Van Hollen, Jeff Merkley, Patty Murray, Elizabeth Warren, and Bernie Sanders, who spoke Tuesday.
Netanyahu is a right-wing extremist and a war criminal who has devoted his career to killing the prospects of a two-state solution and lasting peace in the region. He should not be welcomed to the United States Congress.
Maryland Senator Ben Cardin will preside over the Senate during Netanyahu's speech after presidential candidate Kamala Harris declined to go. In the House, Democratic Congressmember Rashida Tlaib called for Netanyahu to be arrested and sent to the International Criminal Court. In a statement, she said, quote, Netanyahu is a war criminal committing genocide against the Palestinian people, unquote. New York Congressmember Jerry Nadler, the most senior Jewish member of the House, said he'll attend Netanyahu's speech out of respect for the state of Israel, but Nadler said, quote, Benjamin Netanyahu is the worst leader in Jewish history since the Maccabean king who invited the Romans into Jerusalem over 2,100 years ago, Nadler said. A number of prominent Israelis have also criticized congressional leaders for inviting Netanyahu. Last month, the New York Times published an essay headlined, We Are Israelis Calling on Congress to Disinvite Netanyahu. The essay was co-authored by 6 prominent Israelis, including former Israeli President Ehud Barak and former Mossad Director Tamir Pardo. Another one of the co-authors joins us now. David Harel is the president of the Israel Academy of Sciences and Humanities and a professor of computer science and applied mathematics at the Weizmann Institute of Science. He's joining us from Rehovot, Israel. Welcome to Democracy Now!, Professor Harel. Why do you think it's wrong for Netanyahu, your prime minister, to address this joint session of Congress?
Good afternoon here, good morning over there. I think Congress has made a terrible mistake in inviting Netanyahu. First of all, he does not represent the majority of Israelis. He clings to power because of a coalition which includes some very, very extreme people. We feel deeply, and many, many Israelis feel, that the actions of this government are bringing Israel downhill to a point that we may be losing our country. It's not just a crisis. It's not just some things that are happening that we are not happy with. We actually feel that the existence of the country that we so love, and all six of us have served for many, many decades in various capacities, is at a grave risk of collapsing the country down to nothing. At the very, very least, we feel that such an invitation to Netanyahu should have been contingent on his doing essentially three things: returning the 120 hostages home. There was a way to do that 6, 7, 8 months ago. There's a way to do it right now, which he seems to be pushing off time after time. The second thing is to stop the war in Gaza. We here in Israel are bleeding daily with members of the military getting killed almost daily. And I don't even want to mention the scores of civilians in Gaza that have died and keep on dying. This war has to stop immediately. It should have stopped a long time ago. And the third thing, he should have called for elections. There is a clear majority of around 70% of Israeli citizens who want elections to be called. I mean, if these three things were to take place, I would understand an invitation for Netanyahu to speak at Congress. But right now, the citizenship at large has lost faith in him and his government and their actions. And we feel, in fact, let me quote to you a father of one of the hostages, I think it was yesterday or today in Washington, who said, this is a very nice term, he said, what Netanyahu is going to be doing in Congress is a political theater. He has really one main goal, and that is to speak before Congress, to get the ovations that always come with the act, and to strengthen his base in Israel. And by the way, strengthening the base in Israel might sadly and terrifyingly have the consequence of the war being prolonged even further and the return of the hostages being delayed even further. And that includes, of course, some of the hostages who are US citizens. So in any case, it's not only a kind of a farce and a political theater, as this person said, but it's also something that might have very bad additional consequences on the situation here, rather than making things even better.
And Professor Harel, what has been the reaction within Israeli society to your letter, especially in light of the fact that just last week the Knesset overwhelmingly voted to reject a two-state solution, Palestinian statehood?
Yes, well, first of all, to your last point, what I failed to mention, and I'll mention now, is that there's really two things on the table right now that Netanyahu has to decide upon. One, of course, is the deal that is very, very similar to the one he himself put forward some weeks ago for returning the hostages. And the other is that would come together with some kind of normalization of the relationship with Saudi Arabia, letting a Palestinian setup rule Gaza, and this comes to the point that you just made, making the possibility of moves towards a two-state solution much more viable than they seem now. So it's not just one act and one war and one hostage problem. This thing touches upon a much more global and significant issue of perhaps moving towards the so badly needed steps to peace in the Middle East. As to the reactions here, well, of course, we got some flack from people who thought that not only people who disagree with the contents of our essay in the New York Times, but people who say, even if you are right, you should not be washing your dirty laundry outside of the country. Some people said these problems should have been solved within the country. You can raise your alarm and your voice here, but not outside. And to that, I have two things to say. One is Netanyahu himself goes abroad to voice his opinions to put forward what he believes in, often to put forward things that are incorrect in order to garner support. And if he and his government can take their laundry outside of the country and show what they want, then there's no reason why ordinary citizens like ourselves should not be able to do so.
Should not be able to go out and say what's actually going on, right? Instead of a one-sided genocidal maniac's aspirations. Is crazy. Anyway, so this guy, we have to kind of let's see. Trump begins meetings with world leaders. Huh? See, nobody's saying nothing about this guy. All right, 2 hours ago. Here's what's what. Here's what's at stake. All right, so keep your eye on this because, I mean, all roads lead where? To the Holy Land. Okay, right? Armageddon, right? Where's this thing going? All right, let's get Joel 3. Okay, because what is God doing? Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua. The Most High is doing what? He's gathering all nations. Okay. Joel 3 and 2 in the King James. I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Yahweh Shabbat. Okay. Now, when we read that right here, it gets more intimate. In the NLT, I will gather the armies of the world into the valley of Yahweh Shabbat, or Jehoshaphat. Okay, what are those armies going to do? Well, they're going to fight for the last time, and there won't be war after that. Okay, where's the valley of Jehoshaphat? Well, where this guy lives, stolen land, right? That they're over there fighting and exterminating people, right? But they're not the people. So anyway, with that, we'll go ahead and we'll wrap it up. Keep your eye on what this brings, okay? Because the next move is Babylon is going to have to go into Iran. They're going to start a war with Iran. And that makes this guy extremely happy, right? What is that doing? That's the least of the flock drawing them out. All right, so with that, we hope that the elect edified you, brothers and sisters. Shalom.